Over here, take seats.
Alright, so we're just going to get started here shortly. Don't be shy, we got 2 rows here. We got 2 rows
front anyway, so we good.
Thanks a lot. Alright, so welcome to 50 Founders, everyone. We really appreciate you guys coming out. So today is a little bit different than what we generally do because we have Lyft on board. So Alex right there from Lyft, if everyone turns around and just clap for her for a second. Yeah, so Lyft is a new ride-sharing app, so it's pretty cool. You guys should definitely check it out. I'm sure you all have downloaded it. She'll definitely say a few words towards the end. But so 50 Founders, whose first time is this at a 50 Founder event? Wow, so that's awesome, man, that we get such a different crowd every month. So 50 Founders was something that I created last year. So the whole idea was that I wanted to learn from other successful entrepreneurs. But it's kind of hard to get successful entrepreneurs to come out and do coffee 1,000,000 times a week. So I decided, what if I could bring hundreds of other folks in one room so that way I can get everything that I need to know. It worked out, right? So we had a few events last year. We brought 150 people together each month. We just brought it back this year. So last month was the first month that we did it. We did it over at Bamboo, which is where it's typically held, which is on Brush and Grass shit. This month, Alex decided that she wanted to do it over here at Practice Space. And because they were so gracious in covering everything, we decided to make the event free. They got some awesome food out here, some awesome drinks.
Yeah, don't be hungry because it's coming after the food.
Okay, the food wasn't here. I didn't get that memo, guys, so sorry. Yeah, but no, so I'll make it really quick. So 50 Founders is basically all about learning from folks, right? So we brought 2 successful entrepreneurs together, Bill and Scott from TMV. TMV is a branding agency. They also have a co-working space called Tandem, which they recently launched. So if you're interested in space in Royal Oak or towards the west side of the city, they have the perfect space. We actually work out of their space. It's really awesome. No offense to everybody else with spaces here, but no, you'll learn a lot of cool things, and towards the end we'll have a Q&A. I'll hand it over to Dave, and then Mike, they'll talk for a second.
So speaking of co-working spaces, I'm a co-founder. Actually, Mike and I are co-founders of Bamboo Detroit, which is a co-working space in downtown. I love that all these entrepreneurs are coming together to start these spaces, and I think there needs to be more of it. How many of you in here are entrepreneurs? That's a lot of people, right? And I'm sure as an entrepreneur, you don't want to be working at home by yourself or in a coffee shop where it's loud and disturbing, right? So you go to a co-working space and you can work around other like-minded entrepreneurs. So that's what this is all about. That's why we partner with Practice Space to do this event. That's why we started Bamboo. That's why they started Tandem. So I would invite you to come out and check out Bamboo. The next 50 Founders next month, which we'll be announcing soon after this, will be at Bamboo, and I hope to see you there.
How you guys doing? I'm Mike Ferlito. I'm also one of the co-founders. I want to show everyone Amanda, the boss, one of the best partners in the world with Bamboo Detroit. I am also one of the founders of Anytime Fitness Detroit. It is the newest 24-hour fitness facility in downtown Detroit. It's right next to the Chrysler House, so I wanted to bring that to you guys, let you guys know that we are open, and if you're looking to get fit in the D, don't hesitate to get a hold of me, and we guys get you some rates and stuff like that. But have a great event.
So 2 more things, actually, really quick. I forgot to shout out our awesome moderator. He does this so last minute for us, so we're extremely appreciative. Yeah. So you all might have.
That's my famous guy anyway.
Yeah, yes. We had to pull him away. He had to put in like a sick day or something from local floors. I am kidding. But yeah, so please give it up. So give it up for Andrew Humphrey. That's awesome. And last thing. Last thing, I want to just let Anthony talk for a second. He provided these awesome name tags, so he's working on a really cool startup too. I'll let him share about it.
Awesome, thanks a lot. I love these co-working spaces. These places are really cool. Bamboo is really cool. This is the first time I've been here, so this is another cool space. I worked out of Grand Circus, which is another cool co-working space downtown. And I just found out about another one tonight, so these places are really awesome. But I really just want to spend a couple of minutes and show you guys an app that we've been working on that we're like super excited about, that we think is an awesome way to network with people. It's called Spin Card. It's on these name tags that you have here, but essentially it's an iPhone and Android app that's free. And if you download it, you would get a 6-character spin, and you share that with somebody, and it has like all of your contact information connected to it. We also provide a full screen photo of that person. So as most of us, or at least I am all about people's faces. So if I could see somebody and be able to shuffle through a bunch of faces, I remember who I wanted to talk to, and it's just a really cool, different way to network. So I'd love for you guys to go check it out and let us know what you think.
Is it more social or business?
It's more kind of business, yeah. It's not like one-to-many, it's more of a one-to-one. So it's like I share you my spin, and then I have your contacts. So, cool. So it's spincardapp.com, and you can download it today. Awesome, thanks a lot, Glenn.
What's that?
Spincardapp.com.
Yeah.
All right, so if anyone wants to take a seat, just feel free. No one's going to bite in here. We're all family, so we'll start to talk now.
All right, interesting. Looks like we're just working with one mic, it looks like, right?
Yeah.
Scott, say hello, please.
Hello?
Can you hear him?
Yeah.
Yes.
And let's see. Bill, please say hello.
Hello.
Can you hear Bill? All right, I'm going to ditch this after I'm done introducing the two of them. First, I want to get a better sense of another sense of our audience here. Oh, first of all, everyone say thank you, Lyft.
Thank you, Lyft.
Everyone say thank you, Bamboo Detroit.
Thank you, Bamboo Detroit.
Everyone say thank you, Spin Card.
Thank you, Spin Card.
And speaking of Spin Card, I mean, he mentioned Spin Card. I didn't say Simon. But thank you very much. But speaking of Spin Card, with you guys downloading it on the fly just like that, feel free. We want a lot of not only interactivity with you guys here in the audience, amongst yourselves, and especially amongst us up here, but also with the rest of the world. So feel free to Facebook, tweet, Instagram, Vine, any of what you see right now if you want to. Just make sure the ringer is off. And I'm sure you'll get a lot of notifications and mentions, so make sure those little notification things are off too. Again, my name's Andrew Humphrey. I do weather on TV. I have next to me here Scott Thornton and Bill Morden, who are both co-founders of a company called TMV. They're both co-founders, and Bill is the managing partner. And let's see, Scott is also the managing partner. Both have more than a couple of decades, over 25 years in fact, of experience working here in Detroit and Southeast Michigan. Not just as entrepreneurs, but also working at some of the established companies that are here. Again, how many folks are entrepreneurs? How many folks, though, work at a company right now that is a well-established company that's been around more than 10 years? Okay, let's get a better sense. How many folks may still be in school? How many have graduated within the past 3 years? All right, good. You get a sense of the audience too? All right, now a few tricky questions. I'm a journalist, so I like to get a little bit personal. How many folks have been fired? All right. How many folks have really wanted to branch out and really break away from their companies, but have had problems doing it? Have always had some sort of personal, whether it's a personal setback or even this their own setback or hurdle that they just can't seem to get over? Okay. And last but not least, both Bill and Scott are friends here, but I just learned, just through talking to them just now, that they weren't friends from childhood, but they basically became friends as adults. And I found, not that I'm so wise or so old or so experienced, I found that it's easier to make friends when you're a little kid. I mean, to me, it seems like those relationships, I seem to, maybe it's my own personal hang-up, seem to be able to trust a little bit more or have a little bit more faith in. And it's a little bit harder to make friends as adults. How many folks have had trouble making friends as adults? You really have a great idea, but you just can't seem to find the right other adult that you can really trust. How many have some of those problems? Okay, great. And I'm not just raising my hand just to raise it. I'm admitting it myself. So that's a little Oprah moment. All right?
This gets pretty deep. We're learning a lot of stuff about
So now that we just need the music in the background. All right, so with that, I'm just simply going to ditch this. Scott and Bill, why don't you go ahead and take away, one of the two of you, just explain briefly what TMV actually is. What is it and what does it do?
Yeah, TMV is a group, marketing and branding and advertising group that specializes in brands that are in transition. And when we first started, if I could talk a little bit longer, when we first started, we said, well, we're an ad agency, we're a marketing firm, we do research, we do all this stuff, because you're trying to find your way. And it dawned on us after far more years than it should have, that you really got to focus on what it is you do, and you have to be able to say that convincingly in a short amount of time. And we're a marketing branding firm that specializes in brands that are in transition. And that seems to be relevant to most of our audience and most of the clients who would like to take advantage of the skills and the expertise that we have developed over the years.
Bill, how many clients do you have?
We have about 14, 15, 20.
20 maybe?
Yeah, well, no, because they come every day. I know it sounds crazy, but yeah, we've been fairly lucky about just getting this momentum going. And it's kind of funny when you get momentum. It's amazing how often things start falling into place. And we'll talk a little bit about how we really interact and what causes it. How do you really get new business, and what does it take to kind of get it? And some of the the sort of things that we have learned and do that actually help us do that. But as Scott said, this idea of your 2-minute elevator speech about who you are, what you are. You got literally elevator ride to tell somebody what you do and who you are. You got to get that down, and we got ours down. And it's interesting. You say, well, brands in transition, and what we also sell, because we're also great storytellers, and we are in marketing. We create a story. Every brand, every company is in transition somewhere along the way every day. Every day they are. So no matter if you're in business 100 years or 10 minutes, it's a transition going on. So we got a nice little spiel about that, and then people go, well, really? You're in transition. Yes, you are. And then so it's a nice entry point. But you got to get that little speech done very quickly, and it's got to be very succinct.
So I don't understand. When do companies come to you? When they know they're in transition, or when they don't?
Well, most of the time it's funny. There's in our growth over the 9 years that we've been around, there's a real curve to this. And when we first started, we were pitching, and we were going out seeking companies to come to us. Anybody who we thought needed help or their brand was in transition, we would approach. And you write an email, or you call up, or you write a letter, or you read something in the paper, and you follow up. And so for the first 3 or 4 years of our existence, we were out there beating the bushes for that. And then something interesting happened. We didn't have to do that anymore. Business started coming to us, which was a total wow moment for us. It was like, wow, all that hard work and beating the bushes paid off, because we don't have to go pitch anything more. People come to you and say, I heard about you. People hear, so I saw you at 50 Founders, or I heard about you, or your previous client, or, you pitch a lot of business. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And even those losses are times when people will have a feeling for you and pass your name along, even though, well, they weren't quite right for our business, but I really, really liked them. And you know what? You're looking for a couple of smart marketing people, you can check out Scott.
To you, what was the catalyst for that? You said something happened. For you, what was the catalyst?
Well, I think it was just that hard work of pitch, and then all of a sudden your brand and your name gets out there, and more, your network gets bigger and bigger, and more people know about you. And then it's maybe just a numbers game where the requests start coming in rather than you have to go seek them.
But I might add to that, the other thing, I think one of our moments of truth was, like Scott said, we pitched a lot of business in. Once in a while, and it could be luck, it could be just working really, really hard. You end up getting a client that really allows you to do some really good work, something that somebody starts noticing, And that was one of the other catalysts of when you do something for a client, make sure it's really, really good. Make sure it's really, really good because it all matters. And I'll tell you, we had two moments in our sort of, we started with 3 men in a truck. I mean, literally, driving around trying to figure out what we're going to do. And, we're 30 plus people right now. And two pivotal points came to us was when we got into the healthcare business, coming from cars, our life was automotive, like most people, our age, particularly in Detroit, was, we were big agencies. And we got into healthcare just by virtue of this brand and transition story. We worked at Corktown Hospital was one of our very first clients. And, the funny story was that, we pitched it, we went into the boardroom, they kind of knew who we were because we did all the Jeep work, we did all this stuff for years, we won a lot of stuff, and everybody knew it worked. And the question was, yeah, but but we're a hospital, you guys are car guys, what do you know about medical? And I said to him, right to everybody in the room, you do not have a medical problem. You have a great hospital here, you have great doctors, you got great connections to U of M surgeons and all that stuff. What you have is a brand problem. And if you look at our work, what we've done, we're brand experts. And if you want to change your brand, you need to hire us to do it. And the other moment was the Health Alliance plan.
And their brand was in transition.
Their brand was in transition.
They thought it was in transition,
Yeah.
so it was a perfect line for them to say,
Wow.
Yeah.
we need you.
Transition from what to what?
The consumers began to become really interested in their healthcare, and they had to start selling what they had to sell, what they had to give. If you look about the healthcare industry switched monumentally in the last 4 or 5 years to consumers now need to pick their healthcare. You have to be on another planet than have to see all the healthcare advertising, all the hospitals, all the dentistry. We have one of our big clients, the national clients, is very specialist dental centers. I mean, how many times do you go to your dentist? We get our dentist guys go like 3 or 4 times a week or so. But you know what I'm saying? But it's what happened to us though is that we got big client, or a client that actually we started doing work for that people got to recognize. And I think but everything you do for somebody has got to really matter.
What was that second pivotal moment? You were mentioning HAP. Now, I remember those commercials not long ago. It may have been 6 or 7 years ago with Doris Briscoe.
Right, Doris
who was announcing those.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was.
So was that you, or was that before you?
Yeah, Doris was Medicare.
So let's please explain the second pivotal point of HAP.
Well, for us, it was all of a sudden a client that wanted the kind of work that we wanted to do. We did television, we did a lot of print, we did radio, outdoor, and all of a sudden your work got to be recognized by people. As Scott said, when people started seeing the work we were doing that was kind of unique for the healthcare industry, people started recognizing the work and seeing the work and wanted to know who it was.
Well, yeah, HAP was in the same boat as Bill was just talking about. Their world was about to completely change because of healthcare reform. And they knew it was coming. It had been voted in, and it passed by the Supreme Court.
What years are you talking about?
I don't know.
Okay, 3, 4 years
Yeah,
ago?
3 years.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, right when
Shortly
it got
after,
passed by
shortly
the
after
Supreme
the
Court.
2008 election, and then a year or two
Yeah,
after that.
so they're like, okay, now what do we do? Our brand is in transition. We don't know anything about this. And to the point where people are becoming much more consumers of healthcare as opposed to just receivers of it. I mean, before you used to go to work, you get your card, hey, great, nobody thought about it. But now it's like, guess what? We all have to know about it, make choices, understand what the coverage is, those kinds of things. So the HAP was like, we don't know what to do, to Bill's point. They were a great health insurance company, but they were not good at branding. So they looked to us and said, what can you do to help us get where we need to go? And by the way, it was between us, little 10, 12 people, and Campbell Ewald. And they came to us when they awarded us the business and said, well, if you want a bunch of people running around your business, we were going to hire Campbell Ewald, but we hired you because we know you can take us where we need to go. So back to our, we are experts at taking brands that are in transition. And you stay focused on that, and that usually carries the day.
A few things stand out when you talk about those two pivotal moments. Not only the immense talent that you have, but a couple other factors. One, access, being able to sit down with Crittenden and then with HAP. I know you have a lot of other clients in between.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Two, timing, Affordable Health Care Act and the timing of that. And of course, hard work, as you said, making so many pitches in so many companies where it felt like people were coming to you.
Right.
The timing part itself, is that something you think that can be manufactured by a would-be entrepreneur or a business person? Or do you think it's almost right place, right time?
Oh, I'm a total believer in, there are opportunities, Bill and I both are, there are opportunities that are orbiting you every second. And the smarter you are at identifying them, grabbing them, and doing something with it, the better. I'll give you one for instance. We knew the healthcare industry was changing. And we knew that consumers are going to become, or people are going to become more consumers of healthcare, so they needed to, brands were going to become more important. Same thing holds true with the legal business, and there's a lot of businesses that are changing where their brands are going to be really important. And so we went and started searching that out. The latest thing that we did, let's see, we had a downturn in our revenue in about 10 months
Company's
ago.
revenue.
Yeah. And so, you know, when your revenue is good, you can have a tendency to say, yeah, all right, we'll get complacent. And that's the word. We learned that lesson pretty quick. You can't do that. It never stop growing your business, period. So we had this little lull, and then we freaked out, like most Americans do, and it's like, all right, now what are we going to do? So we really took a hard drive at new business. And one of the things that we uncovered was the idea we looked at the retail industry. And the retail industry is this much brick and mortar and that much e-commerce. And there was something we read that said in the next 5 years, that's going to switch. E-commerce is going to be this big and retail is going to be this. I don't know if you heard that stuff on television recently about malls are closing. And the reason why is because everybody's going to e-commerce. So we decided to partner with this guy in Pennsylvania that had a warehouse and a catalog fulfillment organization, where he had a warehouse like this, and he had 24 clients in there. He had a call center, and if you looked at a catalog or went online, you would order from him. And we said, why don't you have the back end? Why don't we do the front end for you? So why don't we do the website, the promotion, the social media, the customer relationship management, the email blast. So every time you buy something online, you hey, thank you for buying that tie, or and then would you like to buy something else, and you abandon your cart. There's a whole. So we got into that, and almost half our business is now in 9 months e-commerce based, and it's growing like you wouldn't believe. So that's one of the things that you got to pay attention to. Really, really pay attention. You got to read. You got to follow this stuff. You got to dive into that stuff because those opportunities are there, and you can't be complacent about it. You have to really reach out and grab those things. And you know what? We've grabbed 20 opportunities that we thought were that never went anywhere. And this e-commerce thing, literally, that's really the one that's really paid off for most of us.
Yeah, and I would add a little bit of, we have this sort of thing, it's really this idea of the sense of urgency now.
You might want to grab the mic.
Get a little up, a little low. Yeah, like I was saying, what Scott's kind of talking a little bit about is this notion of the fierce urgency of now. And thinking about what's around you. We always would say that you have like 3 choices on now. The moment that we're in right now. You can just, turn, be complacent, pretend it's not even there. You can be paralyzed by it. I don't know what to do. Revenue's going down. What to do? Or you can embrace the moment and go after it. And this idea of the fierce urgency of the now, and every day, you need to go in there and say, what am I going to do today? You have 3 choices. Be complacent, be paralyzed, or embrace it, or go do something. And that's kind of what we've been doing a lot of, what's out there. Be aware of our surroundings. Affordable Health Care Act, opportunity, go after it. E-commerce, things are changing. Where can we insert ourselves, And
shared space.
Shared space. It's all that ideas of what's now and How do you embrace it instead of be paralyzed or complacent about it?
There's a couple more questions I want to get to, but since we're on the topic of e-commerce, who sent the text message for a question about a startup? Anybody? Gotcha. Well, this comes from one of the audience members. Oh, wait, come on. Who's Amanda? Amanda, come on, ask her question. Everyone say hi, Amanda. She has a question. She has a question regarding startups and marketing and
If you're a
e-commerce.
startup or you're, whether you're e-commerce or not, can you share with us a couple of tips you would give a startup for marketing and advertising? A couple actionable things you can think about?
As a startup for marketing and advertising tips?
Or just for any startup, yeah.
Well, it all depends on, first of all, as I think we've been talking about, everything that you do is your brand. Your pitches, whether you win or lose, the people you hire, the way you talk to people, the way your integrity, your reputation, where you came from. There's a construct, if you will, imagine a graph, I'll try to do it backwards, that this is degree of innovation, and this is time. And if over here in the corner, you start your career, and you advance up like this, and at some point you're going to reach what Hodge calls a pivot point. And in the research industry, it's called a strategic inflection point. But those points are the times when you have a choice to go forward and reinvent yourself and continue to innovate, or decay and, like Microsoft had a world to themselves. They started here, went up, and then over time, Apple was able to come in and have the benefit of that time and that experience, and they didn't have to start where they did. They started right there, and they rocketed up, and Microsoft did one of those. So if you understand that construct of time and innovation or education, everything you do is about marketing, to try to answer Amanda's question. So every step of the way, every person you meet, everything is building your reputation. And eventually what will happen is what happened to us, is people start coming to you. Be relentless in your pursuit of great work. Be relentless in your pursuit of the ideas of being honest and have a great degree of integrity, working hard, and that becomes your basis for your marketing campaign. And then you got your social media and your digital stuff, and then once you have some money or some time to be able to do that, continue to do that, and it's all based on that stuff. So determine what you are, and then just leverage it any way you can.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the other thing I would add is stick to your knitting. Stick to your knitting. And what I mean by that is do what you know, do what you love. Do what you know, do what you love. It doesn't mean that I'm an engineer and I can't go do something really phenomenally cool, but if it's something you love and you really know, stick to it. And we made just as a startup company, made a slight mistake in our earlier years of deciding that, we don't know advertising, we know how to do cars, we've done them for years. We'll build an electric car. Not a good idea. We didn't know how to build an electric car. And
we knew how to brand it.
We knew how to brand it, we didn't know how to build it. So we got out of the building part. It was a very, very expensive lesson, you could have probably got 3 PhDs, everybody here, for the price we paid for that endeavor. But when we went back to our knitting, we went back to the branding, about the advertising, about the things that we love to do, we became successful. So if you're going to start something that you know about and you love doing. And it's a really important point.
So Scott and Bill, you gave an example of paying attention to your environment and how you did that related to commerce versus e-commerce and the relationship between the two. The second point then was access. The example you mentioned where you moved forward with access, was that a cold call you made regarding trying to get into commerce versus e-commerce?
Oh, no. Go ahead.
All right, so I want you to expand a little bit on that, but first, could you give an example of, because the second point is access. Please expand a little bit on the example you gave where you had that cold call, but another example that's successful, because I'm sure many people in the audience may either already be working, or they're recently out of school, or they already know people who happen to be friends or colleagues already. So one other successful example where the access was already there because you knew you had, because of a prior relationship?
Okay, Cole, I can give you a couple
And
examples.
specifically what you did to get in the room to do your pitch.
All right, let's see if this answers that, but it doesn't, just tell me. In respect to the e-commerce thing, and this shows how important your entire construct of time over innovation is. The partner that we have in Pennsylvania, I met 22 years ago on a plane going to New York. And we had, we were operating or managing the Jeep business at the time. So he's sitting next to me and he says, "Oh, I'm Dick Holcomb. I'm Scott Thornton. What do you do? I do Jeep." "Oh, I know about Jeep, and I'm in the clothing business, and I have, and nothing happened. 22 years later, I'm calling him up saying, "Why don't you partner with me?" So it's that kind of time, and you never stop. Everything that you hit is an opportunity, either now or in the future.
Did he remember you?
Oh, well, we stayed in touch together. He happened to be a really nice guy, and sometimes you meet people on the plane that are really nice, and we hit it off, and we tried to do business together, but nothing ever happened. He became president of Filson, which is a clothing store in Seattle, an outdoor clothing store.
Bought by Shinola.
Bought by Shinola, right. And he was president of Woolrich, president of Gear. He started that company, Gear, and then sold it. So, he would always call me up and ask me for my advice, and I'd give it to him free. You should do this, you should do that. And so it's that kind of thing, building relationships. And one day, this thing paid off, and it's going to make us a lot of success. And we'll be able to put a lot of people to work. We'll be able to fill that space up that we have. What's that?
Someone said money.
Well, money's important, but you can't make a lot of money unless you have an organization. That's one of the lessons that we learned is you really have to become an invaluable resource to yourself, to your clients, and to your staff. You got to treat them right. You got to create an environment like these. And, I'll just give a quick shout out to Patrick Thornton right there. He's sitting there. He's the genius behind our space. Bill and I came and said, "We're just going to put this office up, and it's going to be TMV." And he said, "No, you got to build it this way, and you got to get desks and everything." So he's right along with you guys in terms of making our space something that we had no idea it could be. And way to go to Patrick. I don't know if that answered your question.
That answered part one of the question. Bill, I'm going to have you do part two. I saw a question out there in the audience. I'll come to that next, all right? Okay. So maybe a success story, how you had access from a prior relationship that might have been deeper than the person you met on the plane.
Well, I will say, though, a lot of our success is really the connectivity you have with people. You never know where it comes from. And the cold call, I'll tell you, is really, really hard. It's extremely hard to get in, and a lot of times if they're not really interested, they may take the call, and you spend a lot of time and effort, and it goes for naught. But this idea out here, everybody out here, everybody's got something going on. And we got some of our biggest pieces of business by having an acquaintance of somebody who had the opportunity, who looked at us and said, "You want to help?" And the next thing you know, you're doing something really dramatic and very cool, with people. So this entrepreneur thing, it needs people. It needs all of us to interface and connect and do things. And it's an amazing transformation of just sitting there waiting for someone to come to you when you're going out there and talking to everybody. And who knows, just because you're all here tonight, there might be two forged relationships somewhere. Next thing you guys create something else. You can help your business. And my only rule of thumb is if you ever get in a room for a pitch, don't follow the rules. Do not follow the rules.
What is that?
Well, do this, don't do that, don't show creative, just do this. We get up there, we show creative, we give them something unexpected. I didn't expect that. And the minute you give them something unexpected, whether you're the first to pitch or the last, they'll remember you.
I still don't get, I like examples.
Yeah.
Can you give one example of where you did that, you didn't follow the rule, and it worked?
Yeah, well, they said, we're gonna pitch this piece of business, and we don't want to see any creative. We just like to do your capabilities and do a little bit of business modeling and stuff. So we did that, and then before we went, I said, we're going to go do the creative. We're going to do a campaign for them that they never would have expected. And we got the business because we broke the rule and we did something they did not expect. And
You always want to visualize it
Yeah.
way better. I mean,
Yeah.
You can talk all you want, but
yeah, I mean, it's, again, here's our idea, but you know, we have this very simple little ways of doing it. You know, just create an idea. You know, we just kind of create this sort of storytelling. So we do a strategy, and I put it to a story, and when they see it live or visualize it, all of a sudden they understand where you're going. So they didn't want to see it creative, but we did it. And a lot of times, you know, we've never been thrown out of the room yet. I said we've never been thrown out of the room. Hey, you broke the rules, get out of here.
I got another thing to do on that. You talked about the cold call. Don't ever hesitate to ask your current clients or anybody that's with you to help them get you business. We've gotten a lot of business, like with our current clients. I'll go meet them and say, hey, I saw you're on that board. Why don't you throw my name out there? You know, they got 4 or 5 companies that could really benefit from our ability to do great branding. And you know, you never know. And we've had it happen to us a couple times where we end up with a client for that. We got the coolest client it's a Dutch client, and they're based in Howell, and we got them through one of our clients. I asked him, hey, if you ever know anybody that could give us some more business, let us know. Next thing you know, this guy calls me. He said, I talked to Joe, and he said, you guys would be really good. Come out and meet us. So we go meet him, and they are the world leaders in biological pest control and pollination. They grow bumblebees, and they grow little aphids and stuff that eat things around the farm, and they're just huge, and they're a riot to work with. And if everybody ever worked with the Dutch, they're great. They're just, I don't want to offend anybody, but my opinion of the Dutch is they're really nice Germans. But they're a pleasure to work with, and that's just what's.
Question out in the audience. Please stand up, your name and where you work now, if you are working or when.
My name is Michelle Littlester. As of today, I work out of Detroit. And I'm an energy efficiency person / friend. My question is about the transition that you guys had between not being entrepreneurs and being entrepreneurs. You know, some people are serial entrepreneurs and they jump from one to another, but it sounds to me that you guys have something that is the bread and butter over a long period of time. And so in my mind, I imagine that you, for a few years, were gaining experience, kind of building that potential energy, and at some point you broke free. Maybe you saved up money, maybe you met each other and had a good partner, but if you can talk more about that specific transition.
What was it like getting fired?
Well, it was, to me, it was a relief. You know, your point, yeah, we spent 20-something years in the large agency business, and I ran the, agents, five of the world's largest ad agencies, and all over the world. And you know, I started in this selling for a goofy little car company called American Motors, and they were sold like the Gremlin and the Pacer and the Eagle 4-wheel drive car. But they had this one really cool thing called the Jeep. And nobody wanted to work in Jeep overseas sales organizations, so I said, yeah, I'll do that. And next thing you know, we're selling kits and built-up units to the Middle East, and ambulance bodies and machine gun mounts and troop carriers and things like that. And so the next thing, NAFTA happens, and North American Free Trade Act, and they look at me and say, well, you got international experience, go run Canada. So now I've got 8 offices in Canada that I'm running, got P&L responsibility, all that stuff. So you work really hard at what you do, and you eventually, at least in my case, you start, you no longer do the work that you really got into it to do, that you really loved to do. The strategy, the marketing, the thinking, the creativity, working with great people like Bill. And you end up managing things and you're not cut out for that. So you get to a point when they say, well, guess what, the car industry is going bad and you got merged to death and you're fired. And it's like, yeah, bummer. But, you know, most of us in the crazy marketing business always have a business plan in their drawer somewhere. And you have that desire to start something new, but you never have that kick in the butt to do it. And that's what it was. It's all right, go do it. And at least that's my feeling.
Being a creative person, it broke my heart. How dare you? How dare you? You know. But seriously, you know, it's when you're doing the kind of stuff that we had the opportunity to do, particularly with a brand like Jeep, and do the body of work for many years that was very celebrated and stuff. You almost feel invincible, but you know what? You know what it is? You're not. Nobody is. And you know, as we created and controlled the world dynasty of Daimler Chrysler, and the largest account in the world, you think you're a little infallible, but you know something? Nobody is. Nobody is. And I think there's a real realization about it all. But now, what you do, and now what I did, yes, it broke my heart. How could you? I mean, this was all our work, and it was our life's work, and it was beautiful. And we won every award. We've done all that stuff. How could you dare you think that would happen? But it did. And what I immediately did was try to find a place, and let's go do this again, our way this time. Our way this time. Because the great thing was we had the opportunity, not like you guys, we're a little older, we've done this a little bit longer, but think about this as you go forward though. Become really, really good at what you do. Because you know something? Nobody can take that away from you. Nobody can take that away. Some guy could come from Europe, some guy could come from down south, some guy could look at you and say, you know, I don't like you anymore. You know, and you don't even know why. You know, I had clients look at me and say, I don't like this ad because the water's too wet. Huh? Water's supposed to be wet, you know, but you realize the relationship was going away. You know, you just realize this was not going to work for us. But we went back to do it, and as Scott said, you know, I'd fly to London for a meeting and turn around and come home. You know, I wasn't making ads anymore. I wasn't art directing anymore. I wasn't writing anymore. I wasn't doing really cool pictures anymore. I was managing, and I just went back to what we did. But to being fired though, you gotta. It's a tough business, you know, and it does make you want to think. But be prepared, and always know that if you're good at what you do, no one can ever take that away from you. You can start it up and do it again, and that's exactly what we did.
It's good for you.
It's good for you, you know, in a lot of ways, you know.
How much time elapsed between you getting fired and starting your next business, your business?
22 minutes. Well, I can't stop working. I can't stop not doing this, you know. But, you know, literally 22 minutes, we're back at it. We're back at it because there was nobody's going to tell me that I couldn't do what I love to do ever. And that's what we did. And you know something? We formed this company, and we're doing exactly what we want to do. You know, I would only say that I wish I would have done it 10 years ago. You know, but how could you, you know? Everywhere, flying everywhere, doing everything, all the budgets, all the stuff. How would you ever get off of that train? You know, so as Scott said, somebody got you off the train. Hey, you, off the train. You know, and it was a great thing for us. And I wish I would have. I wish I would have done it 10 years ago.
20 years ago.
Yeah, you know, so go to your boss, say, fire me now, and I'll go do something really cool. You know, but just stick with what you love.
In the back, please.
Yeah, I just have a quick question for you.
What's your name, sir?
Roger Benson. I work on Bamboo Detroit number, company endlesscrowds.com. We don't know very finally the race business. I had a massive failure about a year ago, and you almost just answered my question. You said, how long did it take you back on the horse? My question was, what was the process? When you have a failure like that, what was the process? Did you wake up and say, okay, did you mourn, or what was the process?
And I think also he's alluded to why you say more, not only the business process or the physical process, but even your mental and emotional process.
Well, you know, I mean, I live in Milford, and our offices were in Troy, so I cried from Troy to Milford. No,
you're half joking.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a creative guy. You know, I wear that on my sleeve. I can't help it. You know? So I cried, and so then, I went to bed, and I thought, well, I'll just get up, and then Scott, Mike, and I.
Went to opening day.
Yeah, went up to opening day,
What are you doing, Bill?
Yeah.
He said, I'm still working at BBDO. I got some stuff to do. I said, Bill, you got fired. What are you doing working there? Stop what you're doing and come to opening day with me. And that was what, like 9 years ago?
9 years ago.
Right.
So yeah, so we got back on the horse, and it doesn't take a lot to get started, as you all know. I mean, and particularly with all the new shared spaces and all the places where everybody can go. And we didn't have this, by the way. When we were with you guys, your time frame, we never had this opportunity to connect, hook up. We were in big agencies, and you kind of were in this very closed set of people and thinking. And I think because these environments are changing, I think it allows you guys all to have new stimulus, new ways of doing it. And so you end up getting better at what you do and sharing it and learning more. But it didn't take us that long, because I think we had the reasoning to want to really keep doing what we really did, and I think there was a little bit of relief. Like, now I can go back to art directing, because now, the funny thing is, when you have 385 creative people working for you, and then you're the only guy the next morning, and when you want to do a presentation, I found really quickly I had to do it. Holy cow, there's nobody here, so we went back to our skill set, we went back to our computers, we went back to doing what we did. So it was actually fun.
Between holy cow and then regularly getting into what you have to do, how long did that take?
Well, I would say, without kidding aside, it was a couple months. We had the opportunity, because Mike and Scott were kind of out there about 8 months before I was, and they had already made some contacts. And hey, we need a creative guy. We got a pitch. Let's go. And so it was like 6 months probably.
Yeah, and we started off doing printing, and then we did some production. So there was a few false starts, but it was in the general direction. And to your point about when you get back on the horse, get on the horse. It may not be the horse that you end up winning with, but get on and do something. Just never take your foot off the pedal. And that old thing about fail and fail fast, and don't worry about that. I mean, if you're moving forward, you'll eventually hit on something as we did, and that's just what our experience has been.
So go ahead.
Yeah.
One thing I really admire about you two is your relationship, right? Not only having a great friendship, but also a great business relationship. Like, people don't know, if you ever go to their office, they co-work together. Like, so not only do they have a co-working space, but in their office is separated. It's actually like just two desks, like two friends hanging out. So I think that's amazing. How do you keep that relationship so strong over the years? Like, is it more like hanging out outside of work, or how's that relationship?
We've had, both of us have had partners that have been really bad. And I don't know, Bill and Mike and me are, and then we don't necessarily hang out with each other on the weekends and stuff, but there is a shared enthusiasm. There's a bond there of what Bill was talking about, being really, really good at your craft. He relies on me, and I rely on him. And one of the interesting things that we got good at over the years is that I'm a marketing strategist by trade. He's an art director by trade. But he also has a huge ability in marketing strategy, and I think, at least, I don't know if he'd agree, I have a pretty good ability in creativity. Yeah. So it's not a dual channel, and Bill calls it a helix. It's more of a helix relationship. So having a partner is weird. It is literally like everybody says, it's like being married, except you don't have to go home together, which sometimes could be good. But you have to be patient with each other. You have to share the same goal. And we're lucky that we have two of our kids working for us, and one of our main goals is to create this thing to help, to, I don't want to say give to them. They're going to have to earn it, but so that's a good thing, that we share something else besides let's just go make some money.
What was the moment for both of you where you said to yourself about the other, you know what, this guy's cool, I can work with him?
When we actually got in a big argument about a headline. and I actually realized Scott was right. You know, I mean, creative guy, always right, you know, never wrong, you know, and all of a sudden it's like, it's sort of like, it's respect, and it's the ability to have people around you, and if you're lucky enough, like we were, and it's luck too, I mean, you know, we ended up working in the same place and running into each other for many years, and it wasn't always this tight, it was sometimes wider, you know, of what we were all doing, but the idea that you have the ability to fight and argue for the things that really matter together, and you respect it, you don't take it to heart, you don't take it home, and the ability that we argue about stuff, but we finally come to a conclusion, and usually it's pretty good, you know, and if you have a chance to have a partner like that, you got to hold on to them. It's literally like getting married, you know. I mean, if you find somebody you really are crazy about, stick with them, you know. But it isn't that easy sometimes, you know. And I've had terrible partners, you know, that just really screwed everything up. But you know, but it's a shared space, you know. It's not chimney, you know, not creative and account or strategy. It's a melding. And I think that when you have those like feelings and like disciplines working together, it's amazing. And every single person's got to be creative. Everybody's got to be creative. There's no such thing as I'm not creative. You know, if you're not creative, I guarantee you, nobody in this room is not creative. You know, and if you're now business-minded, now think of the power you have over somebody. Think of the power you have over that. And that's what's cool about our relationship. We have the power working together.
Bill, can you stay in the moment of that argument for one moment? When you realize it was cool for you to work with. You noticed that he was right. What did you notice within yourself? What hang-up did you need to get over to realize that he was right?
I was a creative director. I was God, wasn't I? I mean, I'm in charge, you know. But it's the ego. The ego. You get past it. You get past, oh crap, I should have known that. You know, you get past that. No, great idea. I mean, Scott, we're doing a big pitch just recently, and it's all done. It's all done. It's all done. I practiced, rehearsed it, we did it, we argued, we did all the things, and Scott texts me, I know, my phone's by the bed, and it went off at 3:35, you know, I know, it's weird, I know. In the morning.
That's another.
And another thing. And he goes, I've been thinking about that, but it wasn't even like the last line, it wasn't even the first line, it wasn't even the headline, it was just, that sentence you have in the mantra, I really think it should have been this. It really should have been that. I mean, I'm going like, God, you're right. It should have been that, you know. So it's the ability to, you know, and likewise, hey Scott, you know, the strategy you have, you know, did you really think about maybe somebody would buy it because of this? You go, oh, yes, okay, got it, you know. So it's always the shared thing, you know, and you know, and I think that's what's kind of cool about it, you know, and being really immersed in it. And
the common denominator is the idea. It's
the big idea.
It's the idea. So if you can cast away everything that you know you have that sort of brought you to the party, you just focus on the idea. And you know, what's your okay? That's good. No, and you're open-minded about it. So, and Delane, the idea that we have this office where our desks are together is a perpetual meeting, and we love it. And we actually had when Patrick was doing the new space. That was one of the things we said, we got to have our office together.
Yeah, right.
So it's great. I mean, you're with each other all the time, and the ideas come, the week walks in and say, hey, I was thinking about that. And you can shortcut, or short circuit a lot of things in that.
How do you spot a bad partner?
Bad partner, yeah, well, yeah, you spot
two or three traits, 2 or 3 things, specific things you notice, because we're short.
They don't want, they won't listen. Bad partner is one that does not listen. They don't listen, bad. If they always want their way, and not willing to take an idea from somebody else, not a good partner. And I would just say, you gotta have a sense of humor. You gotta have I mean, if there's no sense of humor in this relationship, forget it. You know, because you work too hard too long without having a few laughs on the way.
You want to share another example?
I don't know. You can. I believe that everybody can spot a bad partner right away, and the trick is to admit it right away. Don't say, well, I'll change him or her. I think if I could work, don't do that. I mean, if you get a feeling that this person isn't right, go with it, man, and go find someone that is. That's my.
And again, the instincts also work in the reverse for finding someone good to work with. Is that right?
Well, I think having a relationship like Bill and I have, that's like really deeply rooted in trust. I mean, I don't even know if we have anything signed together. We trust each other so much. That's hard to come by. That has to grow on you. So you can't really see it right away, but you know that this person's got integrity, and you kind of like him, and you grow with it. And if you both share the same traits like that, it will grow. You know, your relationship and trust will grow. But that takes time.
All right. Well, Scott Thornton and Bill Morden, thank you very much. Everyone, please. TMV Group. How can we get in contact with you? Website?
TMVgroup.com.
They also have a space tandem on East Hudson and South Main too. If you want to check it out, there's Patrick. Patrick, raise your hand. If you're looking at, it's open doors. It's a beautiful space. Honestly, there's some really great spaces. Bamboo has the best community, I'll be honest, but this is the best design space probably in the state. So no, but just out of respect for time, I'll let Alex kind of take it over. You want to come up or say anything?
I'll talk later. Thanks for coming, guys, and thank you so much for our social security event. Thank you so much.
Good luck.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you very much for sharing.
I couldn't miss this.